you're gonna be looking like right here at me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
Okay. So.
If she does that, then we can stop and wait for her to calm down.
Okay. So I'll just explain a little bit.
Sure.
So you just kind of rushed into all this, but
Okay.
so the magazines that I've done,
Mm-hmm.
I've had this back section that's called People Who Inspire Me,
Mm-hmm.
and what I'm doing this year is like the 4 things that I've done, the 4 volumes that I've put out.
Mm-hmm.
They've all been about like my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then what I wanted to do for this next one.
I might move her somewhere else.
What I wanted to do for this next one was like, I don't think there's any one path that's right
Mm-hmm.
for anybody. And so it's just people who have success
Mm-hmm.
are intentional with their time. And so this is just, I'm hoping to get 4 other artists, so you and
Mhm.
Josh, and then have a couple more that I'm talking with.
Okay.
And it's just simply like your journey, like in becoming a successful entrepreneur artist. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's
Okay.
about. So I'm fascinated, like the core concept is I'm fascinated how people make decisions. And so that's
Mhm.
kind of the questions roll around, like, what's your framework for making decisions? So
Okay.
there's no pressure. It's just
Yeah.
your life story.
Yeah.
I've followed you for so many years. You took our photos.
I know,
I've
but
been so
I think
impressed.
successful entrepreneur is a little, I don't know. Maybe I am and I don't realize it, but I don't know. That's a big title. I just feel like I do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that you're overthinking. I think if like 10 years ago you saw you today,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think they think about?
I think my 10-year-old self would be like, as long as you are enjoying what you're doing and you're making connections with people. Like, I think one of the biggest things that I struggled with was connecting with people and talking with them, and I guess going outside of my comfort zone and doing things that are brand new instead of doing repetitive things that make me comfortable. And so if I were looking ahead and telling myself that I'd be running a business where I'd be talking to strangers and emailing people in San Francisco and San Diego to shoot their wedding, I'd be like, that's wild. Like, I guess I never envisioned myself to like make a connection with a complete stranger or to have a lasting relationship with someone from the point where they're engaged to married to having a kid to having a second kid. Like, to be able to see that unfold and to be able to document it is something that's really special to me. So I never would have imagined like myself doing that, because everyone has like their own perception of what they have to do when they go to school, graduate, get a good job, I don't know, have a steady income, have like those predictable outcomes of life. And I didn't have that. And as much as I would have wanted to have it, I'm really glad that like my path was really circuitous and different than everyone else's, because I do have a life experience that allows me to connect with people and to see like, sorry, I have to like stop myself because sometimes I go in tangents.
No, I thought that was really good. I let you go. I actually want to go back to that part, like that you were talking about, like going back to the beginning. What were you like as a kid? Oh wait, hang on. Before we do that, say your name and
sure, yeah,
like what you do and that part.
Okay, I do a lot of things. Let me condense. All right. My name's Rebekkah. I'm a photographer. I'm a recent graduate. I'm an environmental scientist. I love to map. I have a family, and I do a lot of things on the side. So sometimes I'm a florist. Sometimes I I work in the studio, and every single day is different for me. So yeah, I can give it another shot, but it's like
That's good. So I want to know what kind of a kid were you growing up, in like those formative years? Like, did you always like identify as a creative, as an artist, as an entrepreneur, or those early years? Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. When I was younger, I was really into sports, and surprisingly, I played soccer for 14 years. So a lot of my early years, I learned how to like strategize and to anticipate the ball coming and how to work with teammates and how to play with them. And so I think it also shaped who I am with people off the field, being able to make friends with people that I grew up with, over the course of 10, 12 years. I was never an artistic person. I always let my mom do art projects for me because she would work on them until 4 a.m, and I would wake up, go to school, and my art project would be on the table ready to go. So I think my mom inherently passed that down to me later on, but like she was just always the Martha Stewart of the family. And so I think watching her be creative and enjoy being in that zone was fascinating to me because I wanted to be in that place too. My dad was very methodical, very calculated, always telling me, go to school, get a job, be a doctor, do something safe and predictable. And so I'm a Libra, so I'm a good balance of both of those things. I try to be in owning a business and then also being a creative, and I feel like I just draw from both of them.
I think that's an important one, like subconscious of seeing what your parents are doing and maybe not like at the time being like,
right, yeah,
I'm a creative, but seeing that and it connected and it was formative. I think that's important. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't know if this also kind of plays into that, but I was always the one who wanted to like sit on the bench and watch the other players play and then give them feedback and come up with like plans of attack or offense or defense. And so I never wanted to be on the field. I always wanted to be like have like a bird's eye view of everything. But my dad was like very adamant about me going to play professionally, and I was like, no, I'm not aggressive. I just want to like strategize and plan how to win. But yeah,
that's very interesting.
Is she being annoying?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's okay. I don't think it's been too bad.
Okay.
I mean, the other person that I interviewed, there was like we were on a busy highway and cars went by.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell that much.
Okay, good.
It's okay. It's all good. This might be kind of interesting. I feel like I'm jumping forward really quick. But what was so it's really funny because I only know you as a photographer.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's funny to hear like you say all
Yeah.
these things. Like, I only have seen your work, and I've always just been like, ever since and I saw your work, I was just like, man, she's really good.
Oh my god,
that's really great. And I've just been following you, and your work's just gotten better and better, and so.
Well, thank you.
That's kind of why I was wanting to interview, because I felt like I don't know that you even know how successful you are, maybe.
No.
But from the outside, you seem very successful. Actually, the question I was going to ask, which you kind of pointed to before, was at what point did you feel like you were successful?
I don't think I'm ever successful. I get really tired easily of doing the same thing over and over and over again. I think when people have like artistic ruts where they don't know what they want to do next, I'm kind of the opposite. Like I have a little bit of that, but I feel like I need to keep chasing things to make me more, I guess, aware of what I can do with my craft. So one of the things I've been working on is studio work, and it's always been I guess, a challenge for me to imagine myself in a studio because I've only known shooting outdoors. So like I can work with the elements. I don't mind rain or, excessive sun or hiking or anything like that, because I feel like it kind of distracts me from like what's right in front of me. Instead of being in a studio, like you're in a closed environment and you have to control everything. And it's almost like that's a challenge for me that I need to master, because if I don't master it, I will forever be intimidated by it. So I feel like successful photographers are well-rounded in that they can do both. But I think successful photographers can also really succeed in just one thing. For me personally, I think even in my major, like I majored in environmental science, which is very generalist. I didn't study mushrooms for 4 years, or like frogs in the Amazon, but I know a lot about different subjects. And so with photography, for me, success means that I know how to do a lot of things and that I'm versatile and that I don't limit myself by being just afraid of trying something new.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so now you're starting to get into studio stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Is what you're saying? So
I'm trying to, yeah.
So
yeah.
Walk through that process of like, I think it all starts with being self-aware, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so like you're identifying these things, and so what's been the path so far of like, actually let's go back even before that, like what was
Mm-hmm.
the path to start getting into photography?
Getting into photography?
Yeah, what was that like? 'Cause
Yeah.
So we'll go back to like your mom did creative stuff, but you didn't identify as a creative or
Right.
entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So bridge the gap between those pieces
Sure.
and where you are now.
In 2012, not 2012. In 2010, I went to London to go play soccer and was like traveling around England and Wales and like going to all these beautiful places. And I felt like that was going to be my last tie with soccer. I wasn't going to play anymore, and I wanted to like go to museums, and I wanted to go to concerts and experience art in person. And I think my brother kind of helped me walk me through that. He's 10 years older than me, and he was always the unconventional sibling, and I gravitated toward that because I wanted to have someone to kind of walk me through my adolescence and to inspire me and to help me be creative and kind of channel that. And so after I got back from England, I was like, that's it, Dad, I'm done playing soccer. I'm sorry. Like, sorry to break your heart, but I want to try something else. And then like randomly...
Could you have kept going with soccer?
I could have.
You decided to stop?
I decided to stop, yeah. And I mean, same thing goes for anything that I do where I'm like, I'm just tired of it. I want to try something else, right? So one day I was just rummaging through the garage because I love finding secondhand things, and my parents' garage is full of them. And so I found my dad's old film camera, and it belonged to my dad, so I knew that he was experienced in photographing things, but he didn't teach me how to use it. He was like, oh, that thing's broken. So I was like, no, it's not. I'm going to go get some film, and I'm going to work part-time at this smoothie place to afford like how to develop my film at Costco, and I'm going to go to community college and take a film developing class, and I'm going to like learn all these things because this thing is super cool. Like, it's from the 70s, and I just want to know how it works. And so like a lot of my early photos were of like my feet or like a sunflower or like just really stupid things that I photographed. But I think I just really wanted to nail like exposure and focus and lighting, and like the camera itself had so many light leaks, and it was just like so banged up, but I loved it. And my friend Jen started YouTubing in 2009. So she was like ahead of the game before YouTube even took off. And she loved being in front of the camera. So I was like, you're going to be my subject. I'm going to photograph you because you love doing this. And so that's how I started photographing people. And then...
Did you always know that you wanted to photograph people?
I'd never wanted to photograph people.
Oh, really?
I just was like, I'm tired of taking photos of trees. Like, for someone that is naturally comfortable in front of the camera, it made my job easier, but like learning how to direct people was difficult. And so that was like another skill that I had to learn, was like, I'm the one that's uncomfortable in front of the camera. How do I make you comfortable, you know?
Yeah.
So fast forward through college, I knew that my dad wasn't going to let me go to art school. It just was not going to happen. I decided to take many classes. I leaned towards environmental science because I absolutely loved it. And I went to about 4 different schools. So community college, UCLA for a summer, Santa Monica City College, Portland State University, finally USC. So I've gone through so many schools, but I feel like even though I took such a weird route through school, one thing that never left me was photography. Like, I always had it. Like, from the time I was 16 up until now, I'm 28, like, photography has never left me. And so a lot of people ask me, like, oh, did you major in photography? Did you want to do that forever? And I think, to be honest, I love just having it as an accessory and a way for me to, like, step away from the science and the math and the chemistry and the physics and, like, just be creative in that route. So, yeah.
So, okay, that's very interesting. So going forward, it seems like you just like multiple routes and like always changing things up. Do you think that's how it's always going to be? Like, photography will just be one part of you, but you'll always have kind of pieces that of a career that you do. Like,
yeah.
So you don't get bored in doing one thing?
I mean, photography might leave me, or I might leave it, and I might feel like, you know, I want to try ceramics, or I want to try being a florist, you know, and I want to do things with my hands more. But I think there's a nature to me that loves to document things. And I do it with my family now, and I think people just keep coming to me to ask me to do it, so I'm not going to say no. But I think that being a creative person shouldn't limit you to one craft or one specialty. And I don't know. I'm excited to see personally, like, what's next in photography. Like, technology is changing so fast. I started in film. Now I have a mirrorless camera. Like, who would have thought that this technology would have come out so quickly? And so, yeah, I'm just interested to see what comes next in the realm of photography. Yeah.
So I think this is a good one. What are some of the habits that helped you become successful? Mm-hmm. And you talked a little bit about this. And then what are the habits that you had to learn? So you've kind of covered it a little bit, but going into detail, like, what are the things that were, like, because you had this habit, it made it easy for you to kind of excel at this craft? And then what are the things? I think one of the easiest things is understanding, like, it's one thing to be able to do art, it's another thing to be able to have income from the art you do.
Right.
So
okay.
That was a leading question. That doesn't have to be the habit. That could be another thing. But what are the habits that you already had that helped you succeed? And then what are the things that you identified that you needed to learn?
I think that having diligence and learning how to, I guess, create your own style. Like, it was very easy for me to look at other people's work and just be like, I want that. Like, I want my stuff to look like that. But it didn't make me happy to just recreate someone else's style. And so learning through that and being able to say, it's okay, you're not there yet. Like, one of my favorite things that someone told me was, like, your chapter 1 is not the same as someone else's chapter 60. And so I took what I could in terms of inspiration, but I really had to separate, like, inspiration and imitation from each other. And I'm not afraid to say that I did rip off of people's style, because I thought that's what, like, real photography is like. And so I had to step away from it and just be like, no, do your own thing. Don't look at other people's work, and just look at your own and just do what makes you happy. I think for the technical portion of it, having the ability to learn new programs like editing software, or like picking up a new camera and learning how to do, like, how to work in any given situation, whether it's sunny or nighttime, and kind of working through those frustrations really helped me like get through them, because there were so many times where like I shot something that I thought was great, and then I go back and I like look through all those photos and just be like, why did I do this? And I think those decisions only come with practice, and not learning how to not, I guess, be so hard on yourself when something doesn't turn out the way you want it to, is really important. Like, you have to be real with yourself and say, you can do this better. And if you can't do it better, it's okay. Do something else. Business-wise, being extremely transparent with my customers and my clients was something that I didn't learn until I actually started working at Apple. Because I'm a technician there, so I deal with a lot of people's devices, and it has a lot of data on there, a lot of data that's either court evidence or someone's personal work, someone's life story that they're writing, and I'm the one that's in charge of that. And so being super transparent with them and saying, like, your data might be lost. Are you sure you're okay with giving it to me? Like, really spelling things out for customers that are like, I guess they trust you a lot, and you have to learn how to work with that trust and how to be really transparent about what you can and can't do. So like when I book a wedding or when I book an engagement shoot, letting them know exactly, this is what I will deliver to you. If I miss something, you can't hold me accountable for it. And so like that plays into more legal things, obviously. But I didn't go to business school. I didn't learn this like on Google. I just learned from experience, from losing people's data by accident, from having a computer crap out on me, or from having a memory card be corrupt, or, you know, from all these life things. So I don't think you can learn it all at once. You have to physically go out and do it.
I really like that. I really like. Amen. What was that?
A bird, probably.
Oh. I thought it was a camera thing.
Or a squirrel.
So I just have a few more things, and then
Sure.
then we'll start doing some photos.
Okay.
What really drives you or inspires you most in life, and like what are your principles that carry over into all the different things that you do? What guides you?
Like through photography or through anything?
Through your life, like the things that just really speak to you in life. That's like your guiding principles.
I think having kids really changes you. It really puts things into perspective for you to understand like life is very short, and that we should do whatever we can to appreciate it and to fully live it. It's interesting growing up now, or at least watching, you know, kids grow up through an age where their life is constantly being displayed instead of enjoyed. And so I kind of see it from a different point of view. Of course, it's easy for me to get sucked into technology or, you know, Instagram or any sort of like visual media. I mean, I'm the one that's responsible for producing visual media, so I can get lost in it. But I think seeing my 4-year-old son like run around, enjoying being outside, enjoying learning new things, I think it reinvigorates you, and it teaches you that all of these things that you grew up learning and you don't remember, they're still there, and you can still learn new things, and you can still learn to appreciate like the smallest little things. You can still, I guess, be the kid that's inside you and not totally lose it. And so the only way I learned that was having a kid of my own. And I feel like that's my driving purpose, is like, don't ever lose that. And don't ever lose that like creative, even as small as it is, don't ever lose the creative like spark in you.
No, I like that. Yeah. That's really good. I completely agree. Okay, here's another one. Two kind of wrapping up questions.
Sure.
Is there anything else that you wanted to talk to before we get to these? Like,
No.
Okay. So one, so you walk into a room, it's all white, and someone sitting in the chair is 18-year-old you. You get to sit down and have a conversation with 18-year-old you. What would you tell 18-year-old you of everything you know now?
I would tell my 18-year-old self that I will make mistakes and they are okay, and that I'm never going to have predictability, and then that's okay too, and that being successful in life is being okay with being uncomfortable. And I mean, even sitting down for this interview made me uncomfortable. But I learned so much about myself, like just talking about myself and just remembering my story and like remembering what brought me here. And so I think my 18-year-old self would just be absolutely terrified to grow up. Like I was afraid to be an adult. And throughout my 20s, I was afraid of learning things the hard way. And now that I'm going into my 30s, I'm like, oh, like that's way better. Like, I have some semblance of like assurance, but I'm also never going to have 100% like, I guess, predictability in my life, and then that's okay. And just rolling with, whatever life throws at you, and being able to rely on other people and being a resource for other people is, I think, what makes life very valuable.
I'm back here like, preach. I love it. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Like, I think when you're younger, you think the objective is to avoid mistakes, and then as you get older, you realize that those mistakes, like, there's no avoiding them. It's like it's part of the learning process. Like,
Right.
by the time you first go to school to learn, you've already learned how to talk, how to walk, how to crawl, how to move your body.
Right.
Like, you've learned so much just by doing and failing over
Exactly.
and over until you don't fail anymore and you figure it out.
Yeah.
So I'm always
I mean, I think that there's innate perception, at least in girls, that they have to do everything perfectly. And I mean, there's studies that show like that when guys grow up, it's okay. Like they feel okay to make mistakes or to like goof around or, do whatever they want. And like girls have something kind of like innately built into them by society around them that says like you have to be perfect. And I rejected that a long time ago. And I think that kind of helped me to try other things, to even pick up a camera or to go to 5 different schools and like really just learn new things.
Love it.
Yeah.
Gosh. I got goosebumps. So good. Okay.
Bosco.
Dang, that was really good.
Honestly,
good.
I hope that's good content.
Okay, so I think that was.
Yeah, right. The little pause.
So we'll just kind of end up with like any last insights for anyone else wanting to become a photographer. Or I guess let's make it broader. Just like the thing that they really want to do, like insights into someone that like has really found something passionate and wants to pursue it.
I would say to people, like, no matter what they want to do, whether it's going to nursing school or, picking up a camera and doing something creative with their life, that, like, if it were my son who said, I want to do this forever, I would absolutely encourage them to do it. There's nothing holding you back but yourself, right? Like, you're in control of whatever you want to do. I think that, you do need to learn how to balance maybe a professional life and a professional creative life. And there are some people that do work part-time and then also do what they enjoy, in the evenings or on the weekends. And I think that that's perfectly fine. Like, you just have to find that balance. I would also say that you shouldn't limit yourself by your finances. A lot of people say, oh, I can't afford to go, take up this hobby because I don't have money for a camera or lights or anything like that. I mean, that's what held me back too. Like, I told myself, I can't afford half of this equipment. But if you really want to afford it and you really want to even make an income from it, you have to take a risk. You just have to start doing something, and you'll find a way. If you really want to do it, you'll find a way to get a secondhand camera or to get, someone to lend you something, like, be able to reach out to people and have extra resources for them to help you through it. And I think even just talking about what you want to do to people and saying it out loud gives it more power. And so if you're able to tell your friends, like, I want to move to Portland and I want to live there and I want to open a bakery, like, if you hold all of that internally, it's never going to happen. It only self-fulfills if you're able to talk about it and share about it. And I feel like the people that I meet that have businesses, they love to talk about their businesses. They love to talk about their work. And you'll see that come out within you if you truly want to do something.
Awesome. Any last words that you want to... That was really good. Anything final that's just in your head that you wanted to get out?
Not really. No, those are great questions.
Cool.
Yeah,
right,
thank
so
you.
You just hang tight right there, and
Okay.
I'm gonna stop here and we're gonna take some photos.
Okay.